In this video, you'll learn where to find photos, how to prepare them for calibration, how to calibrate a car using Image Modeler, how to export locators to Blender, and how to set up a scene for car modeling. Image Modeler is a software used for reconstructing 3D space from images. Typically, Image Modeler is used for camera calibration, creating locators, and recreating the shape of an object from a photo. Now, I'll teach you how to calibrate cars in this software and transfer the calibration into Blender. While various photogrammetry programs like Metashape require numerous photos to determine the shape, Image Modeler needs fewer photos since the calibration is done manually. Here are some websites where you can find high-quality car images. You can also look for photo sets on car auction websites. Here are some of them. You can also take screenshots from YouTube videos using Screenshot YouTube. Not long ago, BMW recreated the M3 GTR from Need for Speed Most Wanted and will be calibrating it. I got these photos from the official Instagram accounts of BMW and Need for Speed. I downloaded 35 photos from different photo sets to make the task more challenging. Now, I'm selecting the necessary photos and moving them to a separate folder. Image Modeler requires photos to have the same resolution, so I open Photoshop and load a reference image with a resolution of 1920 x 1280. Now, I add the remaining photos and adjust them so that the car is centered. Next, I brighten the shadows to better understand the car's shape. Since I'll be calibrating the car in a circle, I need to horizontally flip some views. It's time to number the photos. Now, I export the images with the assigned numbers. Our photos are now ready to be exported to Image Modeler. Before uploading the photos, let's check the settings. I enable the invert zoom wheel function to make zooming work like in other programs, as it's usually inverted by default here. In the Calibration tab, I disable progressive calibration since regular calibration takes more time to place locators. This feature calibrates each new locator automatically. It's much more convenient to calibrate manually, and with experience, you'll see it for yourself. Low residual and high residual control the calibration error. In some cases, you can increase the error to check which locator isn't calibrating properly, but I usually stick to these values. Now we can start uploading the photos. Make sure all the images are in the same format and have the same resolution, otherwise the program will throw an error. Image Modeler will ask if you'd like to upload more photos. Decline this suggestion. In the future, you can add more photos to supplement the views. I'll show you how to do this at the end of the calibration process. The main work will take place in the Calibration tab. Pay attention. If you can't place new locators, it's possible that this tab isn't open. I add the first locator to the center of the car emblem. Then select Other Photos and place this locator on the images where the car emblem is visible. Pay attention to the zoom window. I don't recommend using 10x zoom, it's better to stick to 8x or lower. With 10x zoom, the locator tends to shift from the spot where you place it. In the Scene Browser tab, you can see all the photos in the scene as well as the locators. Make sure that the locator you added is present on all the photos where the BMW emblem is visible. Now, I add a new locator by clicking the locator icon at the top left. You can also add a locator using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+ left mouse button. Now, I'm placing new locators on the other photos. Since I'm calibrating in a circle, I'll add a new locator on the other side. It's very important that the number of markers matches the mirrored markers. Now we have 7 markers on each side. If you accidentally placed a marker in the wrong spot and need to delete it, right-click and select the Delete Shot Marker option. You need to add 8 locators for the first calibration. Press the spacebar and 4 windows will open. This method might be more convenient for calibration. We'll add the remaining locators using these windows. To change the image in a window, hold Ctrl and scroll the mouse wheel. We'll add 11 locators since the calibration didn't start with 8. Click the calibration button. The first part of the car has been calibrated. We can already see how Image Modeler is trying to adjust the focal length of the lenses on the cameras and their placement. Let's move to the side views and calibrate them. I switched back to the single window view as I'm more comfortable calibrating this way. You can try different methods. At this stage, I'm not paying attention to the orange guides that show where the locator should be according to the program. For now, I'm placing locators on high contrast areas, intersections, and line joints. Now I click the calibration button. The car is calibrated, but on the right side of the screen, you can notice that the locators have different colors. Green indicates that the locator has been calibrated correctly, while yellow and red indicate that the markers for these locators are positioned differently across the photos. There was a mistake at the back, so I'm repositioning the locators to the correct spots. One of the markers on the side mirror was placed incorrectly by mistake. I'm double-checking all the markers on all the photos and moving them to the correct positions. On the other side, I'm verifying the same, and everything is correctly placed there. I click on calibration, but the program throws an error. After that, I delete the locators on the mirrors and the spoiler. We'll add them again later. After deleting these locators, the program calibrated these parts of the car perfectly. However, there are still some discrepancies in certain areas which we'll address later. For now, let's move on to the rear of the car. I finished this part of the calibration and clicked on calibration again, but an error popped up. I'm adding more locators to make it easier for the program to capture the shape from a wider variety of angles. Now I set a high value for the calibration error tolerance. the program immediately calibrated the car. I select the red locators and check them. I'll remove these markers from this angle and try calibrating again. The calibration was successful. Now I set the standard values and the calibration was successful. There are too few locators on the bumper, and this part is barely visible. I'll remove these locators and place new ones in spots that are clearly visible in the photos. Later, we'll add more locators to the bumper to refine its shape. I need to check all the locators to avoid any issues with modeling in the future. Even if the locators are marked green with such low error tolerance, it doesn't necessarily mean the car is perfectly calibrated. Let's verify them. To make modeling easier, I'll add more locators, but this step is optional. Let's move on to the final step of calibrating the car. First, we need to place the modeling markers at the center of all the wheels. This is necessary to determine the length of the wheelbase. Take a look at the Scene Browser panel. You'll see the modeling markers listed here. They don't affect the calibration, but will be displayed in Blender. Now, click on the icon with the 3 XYZ axes. This tool will allow us to specify the axes in space for the program. Move these axes to the emblem and position them as shown in the video. Usually the Y-axis is placed from one emblem to the other, which represents the center of the car, and the X-axis is placed between the wheels. Now, select the ruler tool and attach it from the center of the front wheel to the rear wheel. Make sure to input the car's wheelbase. This will ensure that the correct size for the BMW is set initially. The car is perfectly calibrated and ready for export, but for modeling convenience, we decided to add a photo of the wheel. Yes, you can add a photo even after setting the dimensions. I add a photo, then select the locators that were already placed and position them on the new photo. Let's move on to exporting and setting up the calibration in Blender. I go to the export window, select the FBX file format, uncheck one box, and then choose the path to save the FBX file with locators. Unfortunately, Blender does not accept the FBX format exported by Image Modeler. To fix this, you need to download the FBX converter by Autodesk. All links to the mentioned websites can be found in the description or pinned comment. I open FBX Converter, select the FBX file previously exported from Image Modeler, and convert it into a new FBX file. Now we move to Blender. It's crucial to import the FBX file that was previously converted. For starters, select the transformation using Pivot Point. Then choose the emblem and all locators. Now the car needs to be rotated relative to the selected locator. In my setup, the Y-axis represents the car's length, while the X-axis represents its width. To reduce the size of the locators, go to the Empty Settings panel and, while holding the Alt key, adjust the slider. Let's organize the scene folder by creating 2 folders, one for locators and another for cameras. Next, set the resolution for the cameras. It's crucial to match the resolution to that of the photos. Now switch to the camera view, go to the camera settings, and assign the car photo with the same number as the camera's name. We repeat the same steps for the other cameras. Assign the corresponding photos and adjust their transparency settings. Now we finalize adjusting the locators. After export, the car slightly tilts backward. Locate the front and rear locators corresponding to the wheel centers, and start rotating the car around the front axle. Now the car is perfectly aligned along all axes. The last thing I want to do is create a simple camera switch animation. I select the camera, hover the cursor over the timeline, and press Ctrl+B. I do this for all the cameras. It's not necessary to do this, but in the future, it will be more convenient to switch between cameras using the keyboard shortcut Alt plus mouse wheel scroll. For convenience, I now split the screen into multiple windows for easier modeling. If you need to lock the camera, open the side panel and check the local camera option. I drew simple lines to check the calibration quality. Everything is perfect. This means the modeling will be accurate. Thanks for watching this video. I'd be grateful if you left a like. If you're curious about how cars are modeled using Image Modeler, be sure to check out the many modeling videos available on my channel.